you mentioned old white men, and I mentioned old white men, and that brings me to Joe Biden, who, did you guys see the extraordinary exchange that happened with him just on Friday? It was in the Roosevelt Room of the White House. They were there, the cabinet, or at least cabinet members, discussing the response to the hurricane. Now, Kamala Harris was not in the room. She appeared via video conference, like on a screen. But Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm was next to Joe Biden. You'll see her in this clip. And gentlemen, I submit to you, the president has about had it with Vice President Kamala Harris and everyone around her pretending she has already won and ascended to his job. Watch this.
We're going to have to, I know I'm going to go to the vice president in a second. She's my boss. We're going to be, president. Hang on a second, Madam Vice President. Sure. We're going to be going to the Congress. We're going to need a lot of help. We need a lot more money as we identify specifically how much is needed. So I'm just telling everybody now. I don't want to hear that this is going to be the end of it. So with that, I'll yield to the president. I mean the vice president.
He's annoyed at the beginning. You saw that there, Charlie. He was like, I know, I'll get to the vice president. And then she jumped in too soon and he chastised her to be quiet. Then he made that, quote, joke, which we all know there was a charge behind that. He didn't find that funny, that she's actually the president. And then when Kamala Harris started speaking, he was not wrapped with attention. Do we have that video? Yeah. Okay, watch this. She's speaking. He's not even listening to her. He's looking at his notes. Everybody else is doing her the courtesy of looking her way. Look at him. Nope. Isn't there. Don't care. This is obvious. It's been happening now in the public eye for a few days now, Charlie, that he's been stepping on her. He's annoyed with her. And he's not afraid to tell us that he's still the top dog and she has not earned this position.
Yeah, so I don't say what I'm about to say out of any sympathy for Joe Biden, whom I don't like at all, but out of respect for Article 2 of the Constitution, which establishes and confines the presidency. If you look at the coverage of Joe Biden over the last 6 years, it has been in the press entirely instrumental, by which I mean that Joe Biden has been treated as if he is an agency-less figurehead whose utility is entirely contingent upon whether or not he's useful to advancing the Democratic Party and its interests. So in 2019, he was a racist old crazy man. That's how he was portrayed on Saturday Night Live. My inbox at National Review was filled with endless amounts of opposition research from the left that made out Joe Biden to be this hindrance and a dinosaur who was standing in the way of a better candidate. But then Bernie looked like he was going to win, and so Joe Biden became necessary again. In went James Clyburn to South Carolina. Biden is saved. And then this Biden that never existed was invented, this great, respectful, moderate Joe Biden, who was the man we all needed. And he was president for a while, until it became clear that he was going to lose the election. And then those who had been propping him up and pretending he wasn't senile decided to change the story. And they knifed him in the back and in the front, and they got rid of him. And the second they got rid of him, they lost interest completely in him and the presidency and his senility and all of the problems that they just outed. And they moved on to Harris, who they're now trying to play the same trick on. Now, the reason that matters is that while that might be quite a useful way of treating Joe Biden if you're a Democrat, or if you're in the press and you have a particular agenda, it's not great if you're Joe Biden. And Joe Biden was actually the man who was elected as president of the United States, not with my vote, I hasten to add, but he was elected fairly and squarely, and he took the office. And it must be extremely annoying, both on a personal level, if you're Joe Biden, the guy who actually won the White House and has been president for nearly 4 years, and if you believe in our constitutional system, as I do, and you think that the person who is elected ought to be the person who is in charge. And the clip that you just showed is one of many that demonstrate that actually there are far too many people in our system, in our politics, probably in Joe Biden's cabinet, who don't think that. They don't think that Joe Biden is a person. They don't think that Joe Biden won the election. They don't think that Joe Biden is the representative of the powers that he won and exercises constitutionally. They think that he is a puppet. He's a marionette. He is theirs to play with as they see fit. And of course he's getting angry with it, because now what they need from Joe Biden is for him to help Harris. There was a piece this morning in Politico saying that Harris is angry that Biden doesn't seem to understand that his role at the moment is to help her get elected rather than be president. And the older he gets and the more irritated that he becomes and the closer to his retirement that we get, I think you're going to see more of these outbursts and not fewer, because he is, after all, only human.
This is a real problem, MBD, because they do need his support. And what I think he's been showing over the past 5, 6, 7 days is they don't have it. To come out while she's speaking in Michigan a week ago and speak at the same time from the White House press briefing room to say she's been a part of all the major decisions, all of my policies, she owns them. And then to do it again the following week and to double down on that messaging and then to snap at her and Granholm and trying to turn the stage over to her. There is reporting, including in Axios, saying that the relations are increasingly fraught for the reasons Charlie just stated, that Biden's team wants Harris to win, but many of his top aides are wounded by what happened to Biden, including with her pushing him out. They're still adjusting to this switcheroo in the White House. And her team is saying these top White House aides are not sufficiently coordinating on Biden's messaging and schedule to align with what's best for her and her electoral chances. The New York Post has a Dem strategist today saying he's basically sabotaging her because he's been lukewarm on her running for the White House since the beginning. That he actually could hurt her.
Oh, yeah, he is hurting her. I mean, it hurt Hubert Humphrey in 1968 when LBJ was still in office, and he had to account for everything LBJ did or said, and then run his own campaign. I mean, this is not a smooth transition in American politics. And frankly, I mean, Joe Biden is like a tragic Shakespearean figure. I mean, if you were staging this for the stage, Joe Biden would be walking around with, a knife plunged into his face, labeled Barack Obama, and would be bleeding from it profusely throughout this third act of his political life until the end. And it must hurt. And the reason there's this this complaining is precisely because of the switcheroo. Kamala Harris did not win the Democratic nomination. And that's how you establish control over the factions of your party. And that's how you make yourself party boss and say, this is who my staff is going to be. And they're all answerable to me. Instead, basically Barack Obama coordinated the press campaign to undermine Joe after the debate. And then he placed a bunch of his people to manage Kamala. They're fighting with Kamala's people. Kamala's people are fighting with the remaining Bidenistas at the White House. This is not a unified Democratic Party. It's not an organized one. And I am waiting for, the post-election truth to be told. That reporters are sitting on all of this right now.
Desperately
there's all
waiting.
This good gossip going on right now that you and I aren't privy to because of, where our leanings are. But that liberal reporters are gathering material for a great book about this being either a disaster or somehow a disaster turning into a triumph.
Yes.
I'm
how bad
I'm
it is behind the
it.
scenes, and the reaction of her team to all of her interviews. The face plants at Tim Walz in that debate with JD Vance. I'm a knucklehead, or sometimes I can't wait to read it all. But we're only going to get to read it if they lose. You know how much my family and I love our dogs. Yes, even Strudwick. It's been especially bad lately. Read the newsletter. There's an update. I can't imagine life without them, though sometimes I do. Not Thunder, but sometimes. But I love him. I love him, and I I do enjoy most of my time with them. Look, my dogs have a great life. I'm sure your dogs have a great life too. But you and I both know that some dogs are not so lucky. This is why I'm so glad to tell you about Delta Rescue. I love Delta Rescue. Whenever you donate to anyone who claims to take care of animals, you've got to look for the words no kill. No kill. Otherwise, you know what happens if nobody adopts the dog or the cat. This, Delta Rescue, is the largest no-kill, care for life animal sanctuary in the world. They've rescued thousands of dogs, cats, horses too. They provide all the animals with shelter and safety and most of all, love. And they've been doing it now for more than 45 years. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions, and giving can bring tax benefits too. Speak with your estate planner about how you can grow your estate while helping animals in need, and check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more. We love Thunder and Strudwick, but would love for other dogs who need care and attention and a home to find those too. Visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.